to chat to you about what's going on as far as the world of sports is concerned on this busy afternoon. After chicken and steak for 2 hours with Danny and Steve, here is Ryan in Greenville, South Carolina, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Ryan, welcome. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Doing well, dog. Thanks for taking the call. Listen, I had tried to bring this point up the other day. We were talking basketball. So Saturday, I had a wedding here in Greenville. It was 80 degrees, sunny, but I was watching the Cubs-Braves game. I'm a Braves fan. With the wind chill, it was 28 degrees. And then on the Monday broadcast, Skip Carey brought up the point that Kurt Suzuki, when he was given the signals on Saturday, had to keep his hand look down at the signal to make sure he was giving the right signal because his fingers were so cold.
Wow.
I have a solution that I think might work. Do what Cleveland did the other night, and for the first maybe 2 weeks of the season, send the Yankees and the Mets. I mean, there's really, 15 teams affected by this bad weather so far this year?
About that, yeah.
Why not have them do the South America tour, play in Puerto Rico, play in Dominican, play in Venezuela?
Well, there's a couple reasons. First off, Venezuela may not be safe, Ryan, number one. Number two, Puerto Rico's only got an 18,000-seat stadium. Yeah,
come on, dog. MLB could put enough money into that place.
No, they're not going to. Yeah, MLB is. Puerto Rico's got other things to worry about right now, trying to get their Commonwealth back together than worrying about a ballpark. They are not. Go ahead.
We're talking about shortening the season. That's going to kill the owners with money anyway, right? So put it to good use.
So what do you want to do? You want to build stadiums in places like the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Mexico?
I mean, half the players in the league come from those places anyway. Why not send them home for a couple games? And I know the other argument to that is, well, it's not fair to the Yankees because they play too many away games early in the season. All right, well then punish Houston and Texas and the Angels later in the season. Make them play more games on the road.
Yeah, but they say, Ryan, you can't just do that because you're a Yankee fan. Good call. You're a Brave fan, as you said, right? But you can't do it. We're going to now hurt the Angels because they happen to be in Anaheim. We're going to make them play 25 games in April in their building and then have, basically 3-week road trips in the second half of the year. I mean, that's not fair. You got to look at this from a competitive perspective a little bit, for crying out loud. How about if a football team, played 5 games in a row at home in September, but then played 7 straight road games in the second half of the year? People are going crazy. Well, hold on now. 7 in a road? And they hate that. The Jets used to have to do that. They used to have to start the season with a lot of road games because of the fact that Shea was for the Mets, and they used to drive the Jets crazy. How are we supposed to get off to a good start? We got to play 5 straight road games. It's a complicated situation, folks. I don't know what the answer is. I do think the scheduling scenario could be tweaked a bit, and they could do a much better job of being aware of not making sure these teams playing cold weather sites on their only trip in, as we saw in April with the Yankees in Detroit. We've discussed that. You could do that. You could play a 154-game schedule. I'm all for that, but that is going to take tremendous cooperation between both sides, and that is also going to mean leaving money on the table. And I'm telling you right now, you didn't leave money on the table with your jobs. I certainly didn't leave a penny on the table. Steve Torrey ripped off Sirius when he left INS. Eddie Erickson ripped off FA. Everybody wants the money. So the idea now that we're going to sit there and we're going to leave money in the till so, the networks can get their money back and we'll do less games. And that's very rare that happens. Everybody kills me. I got a fortune when I came over here. Everybody kills me. I left for the money. Well, I mean, so what? And NBC and baseball went to FS1 for the money. And then the NBA's playing games at 3 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. Why? TNT money. That's why. That's the way this works. So I'm all for the 154. I'm all for it. I'm all for doubleheaders. A couple a year for each team. I've always said that each team should have at least 1 doubleheader a year scheduled. I don't want to hear about pitching and about, wiping out your staff. I don't want to hear it. You can figure it out. Every team should have to have a scheduled 1 single admission doubleheader a year. That should be mandated in baseball. To give something to the fans, to give them something back. They won't do that. It's simple. Why? Money. It's all about money. It's all it's about. And that's why sports are hard now. It's hard to get into this. You think the NFL, why does the NFL play NFL playoff games in January in Green Bay at 9 o'clock at night? Why? Because the network wants the Packers at night. Why? Because the network spends a ton of money to broadcast the games. Does the NFL try to stop them? They can't. Even the NFL is at times handcuffed with the money that they have to spend, or the money they take from the networks. Networks have some say. Playoff games. We want Green Bay at night. You're not playing Green Bay at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of February. We want them now. Play at night. We give you $500 million a year. So there's only so many things you can do is my point. Now, I tweak it. I could tweak it, but there's only a couple things. Here's Tony in Dallas. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Tony, it's your turn. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Hey, Christopher, it's interesting that baseball has now turned to analytics as far as how the teams, go about their business. The Astros did it, the Royals did it, Cubs did it. But it seems like when it comes to scheduling, they don't really use all the resources that they could use. They could, maybe, for example, I don't know, maybe open the Farmer's Almanac, since it's been, documented that this was going to be a very long winter in the Northeast and a very cold early spring up in the Midwest. I mean, the same week that the Red Sox and the Orioles were playing and they were frigid in Boston, it was also 40 degrees in Texas. But
I know that.
We'll take it. A couple of points. Obviously, if we just come to the conclusion that the owners will never change it because of money, that's fine. Let's accept that and let's move on. Two questions I want to ask you as far as tweaking. One is, what about expanding the rosters permanently? Why do we always have to wait till September? Why is it that the teams don't want to do the double headers or don't want to? Hey, fine. So let them bring up, a couple extra players. We don't have to wait for September call-ups. Let's do it now. That way, your star players don't get hurt. That way, you can pull a David Price if you think his finger's wrong, or Ohtani last night, and you have somebody else there, and you don't have to do all the option stuff. Why not do that? That would be one solution.
You could do that. You could figure out a way to tweak the rosters and have more people at your disposal for these double headers and things like that. Also, players get service time. They love that service time. You could do that.
It does seem like the managers are crippled with the rules of simple roster call-ups. And again, that's something that, yes, is it going to cost you a little bit of money? Yeah, that's right. It will. But you know what, Chris? Rizzo is saying, we would have to take less money. It's not Rizzo that's going to take less money. It's the kids and the minors. Those are the ones that are going to get affected. Now, if the owners want to still make money, you know what? I wouldn't mind, instead of spending $17 to sit up in the cheap seats, at a Ranger game or something, I wouldn't mind paying $25, because you know what? When the Yankees and Red Sox come in, I pay $50 anyway. I wouldn't mind paying an extra $10 on the MLB ticket. If you have, again, if it's about the fans and you want the product, then.
So you would pay an extra you would pay an extra $10 for what exactly?
I would pay an extra $10 if they fix the schedule so that we don't suffer.
Oh, I see. So you play 154 games, so you would pay an extra $10 a game to make up the 4 games of lost revenue for these teams.
Absolutely.
Well, you would pay.
Chris, I'm already paying a certain dollar amount. An extra 10 ain't really going to do anything.
Well, I give you credit. Now, the fans are always moaning and groaning about how they're getting murdered left and right, but
the fans aren't going to the games, Chris, because you know what? It's a lot more socially acceptable, and you can accept it as a person. If you're sitting in frigid Yankee Stadium in October, middle or end of October, that's acceptable, and it looks great on TV because the fans get louder and all that. But in April, it doesn't matter, and the fans aren't going to go. The fans see that it's 34 degrees. The owners, you made the point last week, why do they wait so long to cancel these games? Because the owners don't want to give up that gate.
That's part of it. Plus the schedule, Tony. Good call. The schedules creates major havoc. These teams go one trip in, so they don't want to have to give up days off and day-night doubleheaders they're not in love with in the middle of the summertime. Look, the Yankees got to run back to Detroit to play 2 games on June 4th, which is a Monday night in the middle of a road trip. The Yankees don't want to do that, but they got no choice. What are they going to do? And I'm bothered right now because the Orioles are finally going to win a game. They stink. 4-2 bottom of the 8th. And what happens? Darren O'Day gives up a couple of hits, and some guy I never heard of named Hicks hits the ball 9 miles, 5-4 Tigers. That's a Steve Torrey selection. He took the Orioles with me as well. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed on a busy afternoon. Come on back.